Okay, so let's begin by the coming to standing, feet apart, or come to a comfortable seated position, perhaps in Sukhasana. And then bring one hand onto the chest or the sternum, just above that, underneath your collarbones. And then one hand on your abdomen, your solar plexus. So maybe just on top of your navel. And then either look on the floor with eyes softly focused or begin to close your eyes. And then notice your body weight. So feel your bones, your skeleton, kind of ground and be almost gently nudged down towards the ground. And you might feel this more in your sit bones as your weight descends down through your seat if you're seated, or maybe you're feeling it more your bones and gravity and that force gently, steadily pressing down through the feet. And as you focus more on the feeling of your bones, there might be a sense of kind of heaviness maybe, but see if you can resist that feeling of collapse, and without giving too much effort, keep a sense of lightness, even though there's that quality of gravity, the pull of gravity, and that sinking down into your foundations. And then bring your attention onto the breath. So take a few natural steady breaths. And as you observe your breath, feel the movements of your body on the breath underneath your palms and your fingertips. Make sure the hands are gentle in expression, so soften the hands. So as you breathe here, you'll be attuned to the movements of the breath. So the body making room for the breath, and the body softening and helping the breath be released. And as you follow this natural flow of breath, let's for a moment observe the feeling sense of the breath. So as you inhale, the breath moving in through the nose down into the lungs, to then be taken out and spread around the rest of the body to feed the cells. And this is where the cells take up the oxygen and breathe themselves, and then they, taking that used breath and all the waste products, the CO2, then traveling back through the system into the heart, into the lungs, and then out into the environment once again. And that repeats, so the breath moving into the body, down into the lungs, into the heart, and then the throb of the heart spreading the breath around the body, feeding each and every cell, the cells using that breath, that nourishment, and creating some waste and CO2, and that CO2 then is being moved back through the system into the heart, back into the lungs, and out into the atmosphere. And on it goes, this pulsation of breath. And as you contemplate this movement of this breath, this pulse of life, maybe acknowledge that we might have been taught, especially in the yoga world, to perceive the inhale as kind of like an upward energy and the exhale as a downward energy. And we call this prana vayu, this upward energy, and apana vayu, this downward energy. But let's just for a moment suspend belief and see if we can turn things on its head. So take an inhale and feel, perhaps explore a downward force as you inhale, a kind of grounding, stabilizing effect of the inhale. And then as you exhale, can you explore a quality of rebound, of lift, of length and returning. So with the eyes open or closed, maybe imagine a light beginning just above the crown, and this light inhale descends down through the center of the skull, down the length of the spine and lands at the base of the pelvis. And then as you exhale, the light then ascends upward through the pelvis, spine, neck, skull, and just a few inches above the crown. Inhale, light travels down. Exhale, this light travels up. Inhale, light descending, grounding, stabilizing. Inhale, exhale, ascending, lifting, gathering, returning. Take one more smooth breath in here and one more smooth, slow, steady exhale. And then slowly open your eyes as we add a little bit of a movement exploration involving the breath and the spine. Let me just adjust my mic. There we go. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. So the diaphragms of the body, before we add the movement. So when we inhale, the diaphragm, that dome sheet or sheets of muscle, descends and flattens as it contracts. So it pushes the viscera downward, the thoracic, the lungs, the ribs go out in three-dimensional. So the diaphragm is that breathing muscle that creates space for the inhale. And as the breathing diaphragm descends, so too does the pelvic diaphragm, the base of the body. So there's a kind of opening and widening and receiving of the inhale. So there's this sort of downward energy that you may or may not have experienced. And this isn't right or wrong, it's just one way to view it. So, and then the exhale breath is a returning breath. So the pelvic diaphragm, the breathing diaphragm, returns and lifts and returns back to its resting start position as you exhale. And there's a sort of a lengthening that happens through the spine. So as you inhale, things widening and opening, and there's a slight, ever so slight, maybe only slightly perceived flexion of your spine to create space. Because remember, the breath is three-dimensional. So we're going to explore this three-dimensional breath, applying some spinal movements, so moving the spine in its forward, backwards, sideward and rotation with the breath. So if it's comfortable enough to bring your hand here, I know it's quite a lot on the shoulder, so do your best. If that's not useful, you can imagine you've got a hand there, or get a friend that you live with to put the hand there, even better. And then one hand rests just underneath the collarbones. And there's a shore pressure, but you're not squeezing, but you can feel your hands front and back. And we're going to use the exhale breath as the transition breath to return us back to our neutral or our standing. And we'll use the inhale breath to explore flexion and slight extension. Keeping the heart spacious, so not collapsing or squeezing the shoulder blades. So we want to keep the front of the heart and the back of the heart spacious. And the movements will be quite small. So I'll start facing you and then I can turn profile. But this is your own experience, your own exploration, so it doesn't need to look like me at all. So as you inhale, breathe into the back hand, and then you might feel a slight flex of the spine. And then exhale, use that return breath to lengthen you through center. Heart spacious. This time inhale into the front palm and slightly lift your chest, keeping the shoulder blades spread. So some very, very small extension. And then exhale, use the exhale breath to return back to your neutral and find length in the spine. Let's just do that one more time. So Inhale and bow, kind of like give in to that inhale behind you. And then exhale, return back to your neutral. And then inhale, flood the breath into the front hand, back of the heart spacious. And exhale, return back to neutral. And then release your arms. And then now we'll work with this. So we did the forward and back, the depth of the breath this way. And now let's embody, experience this breath, the rib cage lifting and widening as we breathe. And this time we'll use the exhale as a transition rather than it turning us back to standing. We'll use the exhale breath as a returning and falling with gravity, and the inhale breath is going to bring us back. So here, let's take an exhale and bend to one side. Let your neck be pretty soft. And then inhale into that top rib, whatever rib is at the top. And let that opening be the sensation that brings you up. And then exhale over to the other side. So remember, the exhale is still creating length in the waist, in the spine. And then inhale into that top rib. And then that's the breath that brings you up. Exhale, fall, but keep that sense of stability. So the exhale breath lifting, gathering, even though it's releasing. And then inhale, puff up that top rib. And it's like the diaphragm itself, one side of the diaphragm is pulling you up. Exhale over to the other side. Yeah, and then inhale. And exhale, come center and release. So the last thing we'll do is find the twist. So I'm going to do the same positioning. Actually, I'll swap hands as we did with the forward and backward. But really anywhere with your hands that feels comfortable. And we'll use the inhale breath as the experience of a slight flexion, so slight bowing, ever so slight, and a pause. And the exhale breath is going to be a lifting and rotating. And I'm not interested in keeping the hips squared, so you can move the hips as long as you're paying close attention to the knees, so the knees are happy. Yeah, and it doesn't matter which way you twist first. Okay, so let's inhale into the back hand, slight flex, and then exhale, really slowly lift and rotate. Not too wild, so take it under what you would normally do. Inhale into the back hand, and then exhale, lift and twist. So it's quite good to know that the lungs sit lower at the back. So breathe into the very bottom of your lungs as you inhale. And then exhale, lift and twist. And then slowly unravel, and we'll do the other side. Inhale. Exhale. Out through the mouth or nose. Inhale. Little bow. Exhale. So make these twists really sweet. No stress. Inhale. So spacious. Spacious at our center and at the heart. Exhale. And then slowly unravel. Release your arms. If you're seated, maybe they're on the thighs. If you're standing, let them drape by your sides. Eyes open for a moment, and with the eyes focused on one point, but the muscles around the eyes soft and the muscles of the face released. Feel the body. Sense the breath. And then close off the eyes if possible and do the same procedure. Feel the body. Sense the breath. Bring one hand on your solar plexus, one hand on the heart. So this could be a wonderful moment to journal your experiences. So you could pick up a pen and paper, or maybe you want to draw a picture. Maybe you're going to go into a practice now, but take a moment to sense, explore, reflect. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed.